Hello all you people out there in TV land. My name is CB Studios, also known as Kurt, and hey, we're getting back to some Iron Man talk. Now, I understand, I know it's been just a little bit since I touched on the Iron Man. That can go back, cool. All right, so I was gonna sit on the director's chair and talk at you, but I figured we're gonna do something a little bit different because this is gonna be a little bit more of a vlog style thing, so I'm gonna lean over and hunch and actually talk at you this way because it's nicer. So the last time we talked about Iron Man, we had the chest armor. And I showed you this when I announced that I was going to do this as a project. I was going to do this project of the Mark VII Iron Man suit. And in front of me you can see some stuff, and I wanted to talk a little bit about my process, the way that things are going, and why it's been a little while since I've updated this. So I guess we're going to start with the stuff that looks like it's painted. This is a killer body Mark VII Iron Man arm. This is the left arm. It's actually a fully wearable piece. And we've got the glove. That in. It's got a very dainty little connection. So we've got a glove. Come on. There we go. A glove, which you've seen me use before, actually. Or you may have seen me use before. It's got a little push button. Press and hold. It's got a little arc reactor that moves in there. You got a clamshell piece for the back of it. And then you got the forearm, and this is the Mark VII. This is the suit that I intend to do. And this has actually got some electronics in the top here, which if we go, let me get this in shot. We go, yeah? Come on. It's got a little reed switch in there. Got a little laser. And if your arm's down, it registers to close. If your arm's up, it opens and everything lights up, and you get this nice little missile and everything in there. It's really neat. Now, my original plan to do the Mark VII was to do this specifically because I've got this arm, and that's one less piece to print. And unfortunately, as I looked at my project and looked at the stuff that I needed to do, I realized that this was not going to work for what I wanted. Now, Killer Body actually do, these are officially licensed, and they do some really, really good stuff. In fact, my Iron Man Mark VII helmet that you've seen is actually a killer body piece, and they do a full suit. And the full suit without electronics is like $7 grand, and then a full suit with electronics, with both arms have these ones, and you got the helmet, and you got the chest RT that's all lights up, and you got missile pods on the thighs, and missile pods on the shoulders, and flaps and stuff on the back. That's like 18 grand. And it's really, really cool, but it's a little bit more than what I want to spend for an Iron Man suit, and I like to do things myself. So while this is an awesome, awesome display piece, and I love it, it's not going to be used as part of the suit. I did, however, decide that I was going to start with the upper body. Now, it's been a while since I did my video. I'm not sure I touched on it, so we're going to go into that now. My idea with doing an Iron Man suit is I want to do what's sort of known as like the football suit as a starting point. When they filmed Iron Man 1 through 3 and the Avengers, they tended to have Robert Downey Jr. actually in a suit or a partial suit for the majority of the shots on set, at least whenever they could. And it's really noticeable in those early films that it's actually a set of armor. It's something tangible there on the set. One of my favorite things is seeing behind the scenes photos, and it's Robert there with chest plate, chest armor, maybe a neck piece, shoulders, the arms, the gloves, and then basically just ILM mocap pajamas, the gray pajamas with the black and white segmented dot pattern, or potentially just like red morph suit sort of thing, and he's just walking around like that. Now, I think that's fucking hilarious. I think that's really, really funny. And so part of my idea with this was start at the torso, because torso and shoulders and everything are really important. That gets the physique and the look looking right. It's a part of me that's not really going to change too much. So as I continue to lose some weight, I'm not going to have to adjust stuff like I would the waist and legs as much. I won't have to adjust the arms as much as I would the other parts. So I can start with that and make a whole lot of progress without really confining myself to a specific size and without really having to remake pieces. And that was very important to me. The other reason that I wanted to start with the football suit is because I think it'd be really fucking funny for a super hot convention or somewhere like Dragon Con, when I do make it back to the States, is to take the chest armor and the shoulders and the neck, and I feel like it can pull off a pretty decent Tony Stark look, but basically do the football suit and then have from the nipples down basically be the ILM mocap suit. And I can tell everybody that my costume will be fixed in post, because that's really funny to me. That was kind of my thought. With that, I started making pieces. You can see some of them here, and I'm going to go into it in just a moment while I grab some backup pieces. All right, I'm back and I got some backup pieces. There's a couple of things I want to touch on with this, and it's really important when it comes to doing a big suit like an Iron Man suit. And it's something I really want to drill into people as I go with this video series of this part's real important. It's not the whiskey. I am currently at the stage where I have actually a pretty functional Iron Man arm. We got a hinge joint at the elbow. We got some forearm rotation, which is really nice. It's big, it fits, okay? Yeah, that's real important. It's super tight around the elbow, actually, just because of the joints I've used. But we've got pretty good range of movement and a pretty decent looking, suit so far. Now, I want to really touch on the fact of like prototyping and R&D is super important. Now, as you can see at the moment, I move kind of like C-3PO, and that's due to a couple of things. This is the DO3D armor, and I have this at 100% at this stage. I'm going to have to make it slightly wider, potentially, just at the elbow, because I got a bit of a Gumby elbow here, and it's really, really tight. But the rest of the proportions there look really good. I'm going to have to cut a really significant portion out of this underarm and actually angle a whole lot of this off just so I can move my arms properly and just so I can get my arms sitting correctly. I want to be able to have a full range of movement in this suit without C-3POing my way around the con. That's really important to me. This arm is not designed to fit a human being, really. It's designed to look really fucking cool, so that's something I'm going to play with. This is my prototype of the whole arm for the Mark VII. I've gone through a couple of prototypes for this inner elbow section here, which is fine, but the rest of it is basically the first print, and I printed it at 100% just to see how we would go. My idea with this suit, my blue sky goal with this suit, is to actually have it to be able to stand on its own without it being on a mannequin, without me being in it. And I don't know if I can do that, but I can certainly get there, and the arms were one of the pieces that I wanted to work on first. I don't want it to flop around like Stormtrooper armor. I want it to look like a set of Iron Man armor. I want it to sit and look correct and all that sort of thing. So we've got our forearm, we've got our inner elbow section, we've got the bicep, which is this main section here. We have an elbow piece. And this is all printed on just a little Aldi 3D printer. It's all plastic welded together with a soldering iron, which is really nice. It's pretty rough, as you can probably see. There's a whole lot of texture and layer lines, but this is a prototype. This doesn't need to be fantastic or super high def or clean or anything like that, because I assumed that this whole roll of filament and a bit was basically just going to be a dry run for this, and we could see how we went from here. Prototyping is really important when doing a giant project like this. You need to make sure that things fit right. You need to make sure that you can move correctly, that it's comfortable, and you can't really easily do that without smashing it apart and testing it and seeing how it goes. There's a couple of things I've learned with this as well. I'm actually going to separate the bicep and forearm. This is a temporary fix or a temporary measure. I'm actually going to modify this attachment point. At the moment, it's little like bag latch magnets on this Sintra plates, which is fine, but I'm going to modify it so that it's actually Chicago screws, because these dig in just a little bit and I can get some tighter tolerances with Chicago screws. But we've got the matching magnets just in there, which is cool. This elbow piece, this like scoopy bit here, will actually have to rotate and move with this joint, as opposed to just being static and attached to this. So that's something to address as well. But one of the things that I really wanted with the DO3D model is this elbow piece actually just sits loose in the forearm. And what I really wanted was, I wanted it to rotate, kind of mechanically, about a third of a turn of rotation, so that I can get some movement in there, but it doesn't like flop around. It's not loose. It's not just sitting in there. And the arm is not held onto my arm with just foam. It's attached to everything. And so I've done a bunch of prototyping of this concentric ring socket piece. There's an insert that goes into the 3D printed forearm. And these have some slits in them so that I can mount some screws from the inside, and basically have it just rotate that sort of 1/3 turn on those screws, which is kind of working, but I've got to do some prototyping with that, and I've got to work out how I can make it a little bit better. Just something to work on with that. I won't be throwing electronics into the forearms. At least I'm not going to do the moving missile pods and all that sort of thing. That is a somewhere down the line project, should I wish to. The upside with the way that I want to put this armor together is I want everything to be able to disassemble should I want to add things and modify things and move things and change over time. I can make things modular, which is really important to me. It's actually gone fairly well so far, but this is about as far as I've gotten, is trying to work out this sort of piece and working out how I want to do the elbows, and then I'll work out how I want to do the forearm plate on the back of the hand. I'm gonna do custom hands. They'll probably be resin printed at this stage, which is fine. We can work with that. I've got shoulder tested as well for sizing, which looks pretty cool. That's pretty big and bulky. It's very, very rough on the outside. Again, I had to print them in certain ways, and I'm limited by the size of the printer that I have running. So this is actually printed in 2 pieces. Same with the forearm. There's a nice big seam down the middle there. And the bicep is 2 pieces as well. But all up, the arm's like less than a week of printing. Same with the shoulder. Like all up, this whole thing is like less than a week of printing. So it's pretty quick. There is a forearm or an elbow insert that's supposed to work with this suit as well. It sits in like there as a display piece, gives that ribbing sort of look. I'm not going to use it because I don't like this, but I will steal that sort of idea. I'll probably do a gasket piece in there, which will look really cool as well. It should be fairly okay. It's just a whole lot of like R&D and just making sure that stuff, see that just latches together. It's really nice. But it's a whole lot of just making sure that stuff's going to work correctly and it's going to sit and look correct as we go forward. And if I can just chuck this on. Yeah, it's a really tight fit around the elbow, and that's going to get uncomfortable. Holds everything in place really nicely, but it's going to get uncomfortable. So I also want a little bit smoother rotation on this forearm, which is something to look at eventually as well, depending on how I want to go ahead with it and make things work. But it's kind of Iron Man-y, and if we can just balance that in place and grab my chest armor. Starting to look a little bit like, starting to look a little bit like Iron Man. It's coming together really nicely. It's going to be a whole lot of research and development, as I keep saying, and prototypes and practicing and all that sort of bullshit. But I'm pretty confident, if I can ever get out of the fucking thing, I'm pretty confident that this is actually going to make a really, really nice suit, and I'm really, really happy with how this is going so far. That's about all for this update today, guys. It's just sort of I'm making progress, and we're getting there, and I got a pile of scraps, got a cave. Now I just got to build the thing. So we're going to keep going through and prototyping things. I may end up using some of these parts on the final suit. I haven't decided. It will all depend. And because I don't really have a time frame that I'm putting myself to with this, I can do it sort of leisurely, which is nice. It's a fun thing. Anyway, guys, that's about all for this update. Thank you for coming along for the ride. If you're enjoying this, please do let me know. Marvel stuff does shit on this channel, but hey, I'm not posting it for you guys. I'm posting it for me, because I really want to look back and watch a documentary on me making this stuff. So, awesome. Thanks very much for watching, guys, and until then, I guess I'll see you next time. Bye.